Okay, well, I think we've given a few minutes for people to join, and if anyone turns up late, that's all right. They can join in anyway. But we'll bring up the mastermind principles. I'll just share my screen here, and we'll make it. Vicky, since you were on the call first, you can be number 1 today, and V number 2, Stan number 3, and I'll go number 4. Can you all see the mastermind principles there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Off you go, Vicky.
All right. The purpose of the mastermind is to learn leadership, build teams, and create multiple sources of income together.
We are here to inspire and challenge each other to reach and exceed goals.
Each member is committed to their own success as well as the success of every member of the group.
We are committed to meeting in person or virtually for 1 hour every week. Hang on. There we go.
We are present. There is no multitasking or distractions during meetings.
So I'll take the next one. We are collaborative. We listen without interrupting, lecturing, or judging. That's okay.
We celebrate each other's successes without jealousy. She just wanted to be number 1.
Right.
Through everybody. I'm like, what?
We are honest and we keep to our numbers, and we participate by giving helpful feedback. And that huffing and puffing is my golden retriever in the background.
Okay, so we are open and listen to different perspectives without being defensive or offering excuses.
We trust fellow members enough to share fully.
We are focused, but we think it's important to have fun and not skip numbers during the meeting.
We are real and authentic. This is a no BS zone.
We allow ourselves to become completely aligned with each other in the high forces, one mind, one soul, one love.
Excellent. Well done, guys. Thank you for that. I always think that that beautifully sets up the framework of the meeting. So let's start off today with how our week has been. Russ likes to say, how's the weather where you are? And I don't think he's talking literally about the weather, or we do sometimes get reports about the weather. But we've already done that this morning. So
Yes.
how are things?
Well,
let's start with you, Vicky. How are things going with you?
they've been pretty good, actually. So I'm on sick leave from work. So the other two don't know me. Tony, you know me a bit from other groups. So I'm focused on just recovering, healing, kind of moving forward in another direction. So my coaching business, I have some affiliate marketing kind of things I'm working on. Just, look, I'm a single mom with my kids, so I'm focused on them. I have shared custody of them. I'm working on publishing 2 books with my co-author next year, which I'm very excited about.
Wow.
And NG's been amazing for me. Every group I go, every mastermind I go into, I can't express enough gratitude, because I became a member back in June, and it's helped me so much. And I really love the community. I love all the groups I've attended, and I've attended many of them kind of around the world. And I love that there are members from around the world in each group. So it's not like we're all on the East Coast or we're all on the West Coast. You know, we have people from all around, and I learned so much from all of them, and I just enjoy it, to be honest. I started my own mastermind last Tuesday. So I had my second one this past Tuesday. It's focused on loss and grief. That's my area. And it's going well. We're a small group, but you know what? The people that need to, I think, come to it. Thank you. Thank you, Stan. I think the people that need to come to it, and I'm kind of using this group unknowingly. It kind of became part of the 30-day quest, part of my 90-day challenge. And I want to use the information I get from it, because I want to create a course and I want to do trainings, and there's so much more I want to do with it. And I think right now, with everything that's going on, we all need it. Like, everybody experiences loss. Everybody experiences grief, and I don't limit it to death. And I think that's really important for people to know. So it's health related, relationship loss related, finance loss, keep going, home loss, whatever. And by doing that, I think it makes it seem more normal, so that people become, I like to use the phrase, I want people to become comfortable with the uncomfortable, because I find a lot of people don't want to talk about it. Yeah. And it's a shame, because we all experience it, right? So I want to make it a topic that people feel they can discuss and know it's okay without feeling shame or anything else. So that's kind of how my week's gone.
Very good. Well done. So can I just ask, what are the two books specifically about?
Oh, actually, my co-author and I published a book actually 3 years ago. It was called Journey's End, Death, Dying, End of Life. And because it's almost 600 pages, we were told it was too much. So besides us, there's 52 other professionals and lay people in the book. So we tried to cover every loss imaginable between spouse, child, grandchild, pet, client, patient, keep going. So we have lawyers, social workers, doctors, people who work in the area that I work in loss and grief. We have resources. We talk about assisted dying. We talk about euthanasia. That's more my piece because I'm a social worker. We have checklists, and we've decided to divide the book into two and make one more of a storybook and make the other one more of a professional type book.
Yeah.
So it's off at the publisher right now, and we're kind of waiting to get the proofs back, hopefully by New Year's, but you never know. So we're hoping by spring, both books will be out.
Well, that's good. I wondered what the connection with loss and grief was when you mentioned that you were running a mastermind in that. I thought that's a kind of very different sort of mastermind to what most of them.
It is, but I find within the NG community itself, between Walter, his son, passing away, on the team that I'm on with Matthew and a few other people, one of our teammates, his brother passed away 2 weeks ago at the age of 18 in a car accident.
Excuse me. Yep.
And I find, as people know, this is my area, more and more people are coming to me, and there's stuff happening. Like, and holidays are hard. So besides the fact that we have pandemic, throw in it's now holiday time, and like it brings up a lot of other stuff. And I think some people don't realize that there's underlying issues that perhaps they've never dealt with that come up at various times. And you know, I've been a social worker for 23 years, and unfortunately, in some respects, you know, I started at age 17 when my great-grandmother died, that I've been affected by multiple losses throughout my life. Before that was pets. And I know that this is my passion, this is my area, and I'm okay with it. And a lot of people don't want to go into this area, and that's fine. But if one knows that this is their area, then I think they need to focus on it. So
that's really good. I'm sure that a lot of people in the community will benefit from that too.
I'm hoping.
Like you say, there's so much to deal with, and pets, losing a pet can be just as important as a human being.
Yes.
They've become part of the family.
Yep.
Yeah. Well done. Anyway, good that you got started. That's excellent.
Thank you.
Dee, how's your week been?
Yeah, interesting. So I joined
word, isn't it? It covers everything really. It could be interesting, good, or interesting.
Action packed. Yeah. I did a 7-day free trial of the gym that's just near me because I just moved recently, and went hard and seized my back up and found a meditation that a yoga nidra. It was a chronic pain meditation, but it eased the pain from like 100 to 20. So that was awesome to know that I didn't have to go to a physio or chiro or anything. I could heal myself. I've been speaking to a graphic designer about doing, and my website guy as well, to do up a personal branding page where I can put my coaching, and that will link into my other businesses as well. So that's all happening. Had quite a few interesting practice sessions with other people that I've done this coaching course with. What else? That's probably the main stuff. Actually, it was interesting listening to you, Vicky, because last night with Martin's call, he couldn't do it, so Lisa was doing it, and with Diane and Archie, was sort of a group thing running it, and we were talking about the law of forgiveness. And most of that is about letting go, and that isn't just about, it's letting go of things that haven't worked, and even letting go of things that you've done yourself that you just have to forgive yourself for. And It seems to be quite closely related.
Yeah, it is.
Mm.
Can I
Well,
ask a question?
ourselves, so yeah.
Can
go
I
on.
ask a question or put a question for later after Stan?
Absolutely.
So I'm curious because I have a blog. I've had a blog for 8 years. Does one have to have a website related to their business or not? Because I've had mixed reactions about, so I'm glad Stan's saying no, because I've gotten very mixed messages in the past while. So I'm like, I have a presence on LinkedIn, I have a presence on Facebook, I have a presence on Instagram. I've had a blog for 8 years. I'm like, do I need to have a website? Like, I don't know.
No, I think especially these days, it depends really. I mean, I've got a website for my accounting business because I kind of needed lots of different pages for that. And then the other websites for my young living business, and that's set up by Get Oiling, and that's just so easy. I just needed to put a little spiel in about me, and the rest of it is all compliant information, just really polished, better than I could ever do, no matter how much I paid for it, and it's cheap. So I've got websites because of that. If I'm just doing coaching, my coaching won't have a website. It's just going to have a landing page.
Okay.
And which will link to a blog, kind of a newsletter thing I can do through Campaign Monitor.
Where is your blog hosted? What platform is it on?
For me, it's WordPress.
Yeah.
And I've used it for 8 years. I'm very happy there. I've had a presence there for 8 years. I don't see the point of changing it because people know it. But I just kind of wonder, and I only ask the question because I've had such mixed messages lately. People are like, you should have, you shouldn't have. And I'm like, but people know me. Like, I've been around for a while, and I guess I'm kind of deciding, should I spend the money to create some sort of like website when, like, I have a blog that people know they can go to and they know how to reach me through other ways. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I think it depends. You got to go back to what are you trying to achieve? That's the underlying question. If you like in V's case, if you've got a business that you want to have the word out there that you're doing this business, so it's a marketing tool, but it's also a credibility establisher, because if people want to do a background check on you, they can go to your website, you can have testimonials on there and so on, and so they can verify that you are a professional in that field and that you've got the credentials, and so you've got that sort of, it depends entirely on the business model that you've got and the industry that you're in. There's some businesses where they just need like an online leaflet, like if it's trying to think of one, like an earth moving business or something, where they've just got, this is what we do and you can contact us here. Or my cleaning business is what you'd call a static website, because I don't do anything with it. It's just there, and really it's to say what we do, some examples of what we do, and how to contact us so we can do a quote. So it's really just more like an online brochure. Whereas my coaching website, I've got interactive stuff there. I do a blog, and I've got other stuff about certain topics, which really are in themselves could potentially be landing pages to attract people in there. So if your strategy is to rank well on Google and get a presence out there in a certain field and become known in that field, then yes. So you've got to look at the return on investment as well. If it's gonna cost you a bit to create a website, and it's not going to generate any income, then it is just literally a cost for you.
Yeah.
So if it's going to gather, if it's going to generate leads for you that could turn into paying clients, then it can pay for itself, and it's worth doing. So every case is different.
Okay. Thank you.
Hope that.
Stan, you were shaking your head no, so I'm curious about what you have to say.
Big stubby fingers. Lots. I've got the same thing. You look at this person, they say do that. Look at that person, they say this. And then there's a bunch of people out there that are coaches that said we never did a website. They've got a Facebook page or a LinkedIn page or whatever, and they said, well, we didn't need a website. It's just one more thing to manage that I needed to do, and they were like, oh. So you could go either way. It's not a big drama. And
a word of caution on that, though, if you're running your business effectively on Facebook, then you're in a bit dodgy territory, because Facebook can change the rules on you. They could delete your account at any time. and you've got no control over that. Whereas your own website,
Right.
you have control. You're paying for it, but you do with it what you want. And as long as you're not breaching well, I don't know what international rules you might be breaching with a website to get it to be closed down, but it would have to be pretty severe. Whereas, you know, any of the social media platforms, they can change the rules on you, and all it takes is somebody to put in a complaint about something that you've said, or, you know, your business could suddenly disappear off the internet.
I actually had that happen last week. I actually posted a complimentary thank you to a company that I'm an affiliate marketer for. And I was just saying, I so appreciate the fact that this business is being so community oriented, and I got flagged. And for 24 hours, I couldn't post on any group on Facebook.
Well, there's an interesting example then. You know, you've got to look up, is it worth the risk of all that work that you've done could just disappear? Do you get to back up your blogs at all? Have you got some record of them?
So on WordPress itself does have a certain amount of backup.
Yeah.
I could turn it into eventually a blog, which not a blog. I can switch it to an actual website on WordPress. It's just, look, I'm a little bit limited on money, and if I have to choose, I'm going to choose my kids over that at the moment.
Of course, yeah.
So I haven't done that, but I'm also, like, I've been on LinkedIn for 8 years, so people know me. I've been on Facebook for quite a while, although I'm on my third profile for harassment issues and stalking, so I had to switch. But I've been on Instagram. Like, I have the book, so like I feel like I have enough out there that people know who I am, and within the NG community itself, if somebody else focuses on this area, which is, I guess, a good thing, and I like this area, so I guess I should just wait until I have the money and just turn my WordPress free account into a paid one.
If you've got a WordPress blog account, then that is your website.
Yeah, but it's like northernmsw.wordpress.com. It's not like northernmsw.com. So I don't know if that matters to people. I mean, it doesn't matter to me. And I know there are other people in my field that also have a free account on WordPress.
It doesn't matter if people know who you are and they know where to find you, but if people are looking for you, it's harder.
Yeah.
Just
wanted to ask the question.
It might be good to do something for the books, though. Maybe have a landing page for them or something, so if people are searching for the book, they can find them. Yeah.
So we have one for the original, but with the new ones coming out, we want to create something different because they're 2 separate books now, and we've updated them. We've included some stuff on the pandemic and whatever. We've added some extra material, and I've updated all sorts of material in it from a resource perspective, because a lot changes in 3 years, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah. Thank you. I appreciate the feedback.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of key things there. Is retention of your information, you having control over it, and establishing more of a marketing presence. I'll just say that. So there's just another word of caution. For one of my businesses, I built my own website just as really to learn how to do it and to prove that I could, and I did it through one of the, I won't say the name, but one of the hosting platforms. And so it was cheaper for me to do that myself than obviously I've got a website designer that I normally use, but you know, you're probably talking a couple of $1,000 for a website. So this gave me the shell of the website, if you like. Then I was able to choose the theme and download the theme into it. So that gave me the sort of look and feel of the website, and then I could put all the content in there. Now, the only thing was, due to a change in direction, that website, we got to the point where we were like, should we carry on with this? Because we were doing something different. It was my wife and I, and things went in a slightly different direction. And we said, well, we won't renew it just at the moment, but we'll go back to it maybe later, or see how it transforms in a different direction. Again, we were tight on money at that time and didn't want to spend the money on something that we weren't really using. So we let it go. And then we went to reactivate it, because now we've got a clearer direction from having done all this Noble Goldman stuff, and found that they hadn't kept any sort of backup copy of it. So all the work that I'd done on that website before was just deleted and gone. And so that was a
Oh.
bit disappointing. Whereas if I'd have used my normal website designer, he would have had a backup copy of it somewhere, and I could have at least, I was going to change a lot of the content anyway, so it's not the end of the world, but it would have given me, you know, a lot of stuff that I could have just sort of copied and pasted and rejigged rather than having to start completely from scratch. But maybe, hey, that's the universe just telling me it needed a whole new facelift. So,
Let's go.
so now I've paid my web designer to give me. I did a deal with him where he's given me the shell, and now I will go and create that website. But I know what I'm doing. I know how to do it. But at least I know the shell is going to be backed up, and that if anything, any work that I do on it, I'm not going to lose it. And you know, at least with him, if I had a financial hardship or something and couldn't pay the bill, we'd come to an arrangement, and he'd keep a backup copy for me anyway. Whereas this Bob just deleted it.
Understood.
So, yeah, there's a
Thank
lot
you.
to consider. You certainly don't want to be doing a lot of work and then just lose it. So that would be a shame.
No, but I actually, a couple of years ago, unfortunately, it fell around the timing of my concussion, but I had taken my WordPress blog and created a website because I have a couple amazing colleagues who work in the tech industry, and they would just feed me information and say, okay, go do it. And I would do it. And they would check on it, and they'd say, okay, now do this. And I would read up because they knew me. They knew I wanted to do it myself. I didn't want to pay somebody. And unfortunately, then I had my concussion, whatever, and I couldn't afford it anymore. So I had to go back to my free one. So I've done it once. I know I can do it again if I have to.
Yep.
So.
Very good. Well, thank you for asking the question. I'm sure that everyone benefits from a question like that. There's always some little gem that comes out that somebody didn't know and that's helpful, or that, you know, somebody who watches a recording of this could also benefit from that too. I should have mentioned, by the way, that we do record this one as well, and just put it onto YouTube. So as long as everyone's okay with that. Mm-hmm. Stan, how's your week been?
Pretty good. See what happened. So yesterday I had the termite guy out and a bunch of stuff. So I was like kind of like trying to get into stuff and then, you know, answering questions and stuff. But I ended up grabbing all my photos that I've got and putting them in one folder for use. So now I can just grab the next number. So I like numbered them. And I only thought, oh yeah, I've only got about 50 photos. I ended up with 180 photos and stuff ready to go for marketing. So I've kind of got a half a year's worth of marketing photos done. Like, and I kind of went through and weeded out all the ones with like Shutterstock and Camstock and stuff like that on it. We were talking about the other day about, you know, getting caught with someone's photo and stuff, and then had all these unsplashed ones. I just numbered so that I can just go, next photo, which one are we using, next one. So, and then, what was it? Must have been Tuesday night when I was doing practice pods. So I came up with this thing for me, which is I don't need more, I need movement. Because sometimes when I get places and things aren't working, I just get more. So I do more study, do more courses, get more stuff, and that's kind of just what I've done forever. When you were like, you know, not so good at cricket, what do? More, you know, more practice, more stuff. So I was like, no, what I actually need is movement, not more. This is more, this is movement.
What was it that sparked that realization for you, Stan?
I think that was the conversation we were having the other day. Now, I don't know where I was having the conversation. We were talking about more. And then I kind of come to the next stage of it. But I don't know which conversation it was, because sometimes I have multiple conversations and then think, I don't know where it came from.
So something popped into your mind, you had an aha moment, and you realized that I need to...
I don't know whether it was a Noble Goldman one or a practice pods one. I don't know where it came from, and then I kind of come up with what I generally do is more. And then I was like, I don't really want more. I want movement. It's kind of like stripping away the layers of the onion and figuring out stuff.
There's an old saying that knowledge is no use unless it's applied.
So it could have been oh no, it wasn't a Noble Goldman one. It must have been a practice pods or a coaching session.
So what?
I don't have any notes for it, but
what movement have you had since that realization then?
I did my photos.
Well, that's a positive action.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know. I suppose the other thing that happened was I got led into a group where she's a coach and she literally gave us most of her stuff. Like literally gave us all how to be. And she said, even if you can't afford to come to my next course, if you follow everything that I give you, you'll be able to afford to come to the next point. And I was like, cool. And then you realize you've got more to do. But then it was all like, let me do the work, not just watch the videos.
Excellent.
And then you're like, oh, I gotta go back again and start at number 1.
And that's one of the great things about the Noble Goldman platform is that it actually kind of pushes you or coaxes you along to do the work as you go. And Vicky, you wouldn't have realized this, but both Stan and B are in I run a business mastermind group as well. We actually meet in person, and I do coaching work.
Might have been there that I got the more from, but I just added the next bit.
So Stan I've known for quite a few years, and he's always been one of the most active people I know in terms of, you talk about reading books, and Stan goes, yeah, I read 100 books, and you go, wow, he always does a lot. And then you go, so how's this working for you? Where is it being applied? But I have to say, and I'd like to acknowledge Stan on this one, because I have known Stan for, I don't know how many years now, since about 2006 or something. I think it's
I don't know,
14 years. And when I very first met Stan, he was he was a martial arts instructor. And we used to meet in between the course. We'd go for a mini mastermind, didn't we? We'd go for a coffee with another guy. And Stan always had this wish then, and I was in the same boat. I was running my backpackers, but I'd come to the realization that I was sort of heading in the coaching direction. And then we carried on having these meetings, and I started going full on coaching. Stan then said he wanted to be a life coach, and now he's gone and done all his courses and started his coaching business. And so you have followed through. It took you a while to get there, but you followed through on your dream and did it. So that's awesome to see. So, you've broken that barrier. You just got to keep on with this. What movement forwards am I going to make? And that's ironically, that's the name of your business, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe there's a clue there.
You should follow your own advice, huh?
Yeah, well, we all get that at times, don't we? So I'm teaching all these other people this stuff. Hang on a minute. Yes, the world does reflect back at you, very much so. So well done. That's a great share. Just on that too, Vicky, just a quick background. We were talking about images. And so if you do go for a website or you're using, any sort of marketing type stuff, be careful that with copyright of images. So I had an instance where I got a phone call from a company who it's what I'd call a legitimate scam. They troll the internet looking for uses of their photographs that they own. So you can say, okay, they're quite within their rights, because if they've paid a photographer for that use of that image, they have the image rights to use that image. If someone goes and downloads it off the internet, as I had done innocently, not realizing it was in my case, it was a picture of Oprah Winfrey I'd used from years ago that I thought was public, open platform, it was available everywhere. And I'd written an article, and luckily my article was nothing to do with my tourism website that I had at the time. It was just about Australia is a great place to visit, and it was a picture of Oprah in Australia. And then I got this phone call, like 4 years later after I'd written the article.
Oh, wow.
You own this website. Yeah, well, you use this image, so now you owe us X, something like $1,500. And I went, yeah, right. What a load of nonsense. And I this lady was quite adamant, you know, on the phone, and I just like, yeah, right, okay, cool, the other one. I hung up on her and I went and removed the photograph from my website. I found it was like way in the back pages, because by then I changed my whole website to a coaching direction. So there's nothing to do with tourism anymore. So I just deleted it all. So it's a grey area, it turns out. But if you are using somebody's image that you don't have permission, they can ask you to cease and desist, and you have to do so. Once you become aware of it, you comply. Then it comes down to, did you benefit financially, and were they worse off financially? If you've sort of stolen business away from them by using that image and you've gained, then you owe them recompense for it. But if the article was of a general nature, general information purpose, then it becomes very much a grey area, and really is probably not worth their while to pursue you for legal reasons, because they've got to prove in court that either that they lost money or you gained money out of that usage. So I just stood my ground and went, you asked me to remove it, I've removed it, I haven't benefited from that, see you later. And about 2 years after that, I got a notice of fine. Well, first of all, I got an email from them saying, we see that you've removed the photograph, thank you for that, but you still owe us this money.
That's nice.
And I consulted a lawyer over it, because luckily I had a lawyer. It was a friend of mine who was in a mastermind group that I was in, and he gave me some free legal advice. Would you believe? I'm a lawyer. There are lawyers that do that occasionally.
Yes.
And he actually put a lot of time into it, I think, because it was something that he wanted to know about. And so he did a bit of research on it. And then, yeah, it came back to me that, and I did a lot of research myself, and I found that there's a company in America that does it, and a company in Australia that does it, where they hound people, and they literally, they send you really threatening and intimidating emails and invoices. And obviously a fair chunk of people will pay those invoices out of fear.
Right.
So that's what they prey on, is people's fear of not being sure what their rights are. And yeah, in some cases they're quite within their rights to pursue that if somebody has benefited from the use of that image, because it is their property. So I always say, make sure that you know for certain that the image is copyright free. So there's a number of websites that you can go to. Oh, and sorry, I didn't finish that. I got a notice of final demand 2 years later.
Oh.
In other words, they were going to take me to court.
Okay.
I went, you know what? I'm going to call their bluff, and I didn't respond, and I never heard anything more from them.
So I'm lucky in that most of the images on my website are my own. I take my own photographs, and I make it very clear saying, like, all the photographs on this website are my own, and I do that on purpose. And if I'm posting from somebody else's website, then it's just forwarding their information to my website. So no, I take my own photos. Like I learned, yes, I know that. Or I use the ones that are free stock, or there's different sites that you can take images from, and or you attribute the photo to that particular website within, and then it's fine.
Yeah.
So yes, yeah, I know that. But thank you, I appreciate that. I just choose to use my own. It's just easier.
That is the easiest way. You know for sure if you've taken the photograph yourself,
Yep.
then you're on solid ground. What I was just going to say for Stan's benefit, I have a system where there's a number of websites that I do use, and I can put a list of them through to you afterwards, but
Sure.
I'll mention them.
Thank you.
Pixabay is one, Unsplash, Pexels. There's several if you look out there, and also Wikimedia Commons, but just double check that there's always a little link or something that tells you then what the conditions are. Some of the free websites out there that promote free images, you may have to give accreditation for who the photographer was or where you got it from. But there are a number of sites where they have both. They obviously want to try and sell you photographs, but at the same time, they usually have a selection of absolutely free to use, you do whatever you want with type photos. Callie had just messaged me and asked if she could join. I said, yeah, absolutely. So
no, I appreciate that information. Thank you.
Yeah. So what I do just on that, Stan, is if I download a photo off one of those websites, I'll put, might be couple on beach, let's say, and then I'll put dash pex or dash pics, and I know that pics means Pixabay. So I can always check, I always know with the actual name of the image where I got it from as well.
Mm-hmm.
So then that way I know I got it from a free website that's allowed me to use it.
Yeah.
And that way I know if there was ever any query, I know that I can say that I got it off this website.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, hope that helps. Good one to be aware of. A lot of people can come
Yeah.
unstuck with that.
Yeah.
Kelly, are you with us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
How are you?
Good. I'm tired, but good. I woke up, only had about 4.5 hours sleep.
So
But I'm good.
Have you met Kelly before?
Not officially. Like I've come across her 30-day quest post that I've been commenting on.
Of course.
So, yeah.
Hello.
Kelly's
Hi.
on the what I call the dark side, you know, the east coast of Australia.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
okay.
The West Coast is beautiful.
Well, I'm sure where you are looks pretty good too.
Yeah, where I am's nice, but I've always loved Western Australia. When I traveled there a few times, I've always loved being over there. But yes, East Coast is nice, but West Coast is stunning.
Is there a time difference between East Coast and West Coast Australia?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, 3 hours at the minute.
Okay, so it's the same as here. Okay.
Yeah, it's a pretty big country. So Kelly, we were just doing a roundup share of you know, how's your week been?
Holy shit. Hang on, sorry. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Air Force jets going over the top of me as I speak. And you're
Oh,
about
you
to
can
hear
hear
them.
Yes.
There's 8 of them. Holy moly.
We can hear them.
Yep.
I feel safer already.
They must be practicing for either Australia Day or something around Christmas. I don't know. I don't normally see that many in a formation like that. Amazing.
Did you have any wins or losses that you wanted to share with the group this week?
Yeah, my wins. I've just been shifting paradigms. So my wins are around more self-love, more self-acceptance, more surrender, more inner knowing, awakened for my own personal journey.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's
So it's all.
I can tell by the wins that you post on your 30-day quest.
Yeah, and more commitment, because with both quests, so I'm doing both 90-day and 30-day, it's just letting me be more committed to what I was already doing for self, but in a more accountable way where people see my posts. Because I don't, on my personal page, I just post when I go for a walk and beauty. I love posting flowers and pretty things, sunsets.
Well, you're like me.
Yeah, so it's making me be more accountable, because all the other stuff I don't normally share with people because it's my journey. I don't see the importance, but I can see the importance of accountability. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, and there's nothing that says that you have to share. You know, if you've got issues that you're dealing with that you don't want to be made public, you certainly don't. There's no obligation. It's entirely what you want to put on there, and what you. I suppose it also means that you can invite encouragement or support or contributions from people who may be able to give you a different perspective or a different insight, perhaps. So. But there's certainly no obligation to put anything on there that you don't want to. It's all personal choice, and that's one of the great things I like about the whole Noble Goldman structure is, you know, you can do it or not do it, or you know, it's all up to you. There's no pressure, there's no obligations. You know, obviously we like it that if you turn up for a weekly mastermind, but if you can't make it, life gets in the way. That's just one of those things that happens, you know. So, was there anything else, Carly?
No, that's pretty much it. I guess I'm doing a lot of forgiveness with self and sitting in silence, because in the stillness and silence, because I've got a few physical injuries, and when I created those, I never really sat in those. I just maybe iced them, you know, the basic stuff.
Yeah.
And kept moving and got it moving, like say my foot, for example, and never really sat in the reason why I wasn't present to hurt myself in the first place. Because I always find when I hurt myself, it's generally because I'm in my mind and not in my body, and I'm rushing, and then I've tripped, and then if I really checked in, I wasn't really present, taking my time with my body. I had left my body and went into my mind. So I'm taking the time this week to sit in all those spots of hurt that I never took the time the last 30 years to check in with.
So
that's what I've been doing.
I can totally relate.
Yeah.
Our body's our biggest teacher, I think. It's like, it's just going to keep hinting at you until it slaps you in the face, and eventually you've just got to get it.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Don't you find as well, if you're sort of tired and run down, your body just kind of goes, hey, you need to slow down or just take a rest or something, and you get hit with that sort of wave of exhaustion, and it makes you stop what you're doing and just lie down and have a sleep on the couch or something.
It makes you get present.
Yeah.
I've missed you, Carly. I feel like I haven't seen you for weeks, but it's probably only been a week.
Yeah, I think it's only a week. But it's because I'm on this retreat for 10 days and I'm not meant to be talking, but I've joined the masterminds here and there just because I want to. Like, that's my desire, so I'm sticking to my desire.
That's good. I think, you know, if we can be guided more by our intuition and our, you know, if we're being drawn to something, then there's usually some piece of information or a lesson that's there waiting for us. And so if we act on that impulse, then very often we find there's a, afterwards we go, so that's why I was meant to be there. I got that aha moment out of it.
Yeah. And it's all about support. And when you're working on yourself in silence, and then you come out of that, you get that connection, accountability with others, and then the support to be witnessed, like heard. Not that you can see me, but you can hear me, and I get to show up as that where I'm at, which then also allows healing for my internal self and for others.
Well, thank you. Your contribution's always valued. It's always great to have you on here, and you always make me think. There's always something that you say that I go and think, oh yeah, I see what Kelly meant there, and you know, it always applies to me in some way. So I think that's the thing. When we show up, it's not just for ourselves as well. We always pass on some piece of information or some gem to the other people in the group, even when we don't realize we have. Maybe it could just be the seed of a thought or an idea that they go on and cogitate on, there's a good word, you know, perhaps for the rest of the week or something, and it's suddenly they go, yeah, I get that. Like Stan was saying, that he had this aha moment, but he couldn't actually remember where it came from, but nevertheless, a seed of an idea had been planted in there, and then it's the subconscious takes over and works on it and runs with it. So that's great. So thank you for turning up. We've almost run out of time for what I was going to talk about today, but that's okay, because I had the feeling today that it was more important to let people just sort of check in with where you're at. And so my check-in is kind of on the topic that I was going to talk about, which was about changing your perspective. So you've kind of led into that quite nicely there, Carly. I had a situation in the workplace where in my cleaning business where I was having a bit of a disagreement with one of my staff, and it was adding to I realized that I'd been sort of filtering it through a general feeling, a sense of that I'm over this business and I really want to just get rid of it. And so I was tending to filter things a little bit negatively towards it, you know. So when anything that sort of went wrong with it, I was like, oh bloody hell, that's that business again, you know, being a pain in my butt. And one of my staff members was sort of arguing with me about something standing strong. Well, it's operations manager actually. And then I thought about it afterwards, and so I had this change in perspective when I was like, why am I getting upset about this? Why am I letting this get to me? And so I did a bit of self-coaching work and realized that I just needed to change my perspective, because I was filtering things through a bit of a negative veil, you know, and simply by, and I obviously I bounced off Jo, my wife. We tend to do that with each other. So I talked about the fact, I said I had this realization that if I simply changed the way I was feeling about the business and go, well, okay, how's it helping me? What's the gratitude I can feel for this business? And I started to think, well, you know, it gives me freedom, it gives me flexibility, it gives me not great cash flow, but stable cash flow throughout the year. And that's helpful. It frees me up to be able to work on the stuff that I want to work on and still have some money coming in while I'm doing that. It was lately that it had been drawing more of my attention away from where I want to be focused and having to deal with what I thought were fairly trivial issues. So that was starting to really wind me up. But when I realized that if I instead focused on the gratitude of what it was giving me, and that also with my staff member, that he was actually trying to be helpful and try to argue his belief from where he was coming from, that it meant something important to him. And then by filtering, changing the perspective on that too, I was able to sort of go, okay, let's not get upset about this. Let's go with how can we work out a compromise, or how can we work out a solution to this problem? So that was my kind of big realization in the workplace this week that was affecting me. And it still has affected me to the degree that we had a staff member who's leaving, going off down south, and another staff member who wanted to take some holidays. And we just then scored 2 new contracts as well. I've now had to go and do that cleaning work because I didn't have anyone else that could do it, because the other guys were already stretched covering the missing people. So that again kind of made me like, oh bloody hell, I've got to go in and do some cleaning, you know. That's and in the hottest part of the year as well. It suddenly hit 40 degrees the other day, and I'm out there doing some, you know, mopping floors and stuff, and thinking this is fun. Not. But then again, I shifted that because I put my headphones in, and I had 3 hours of physical cleaning with uninterrupted time listening to an audiobook that I wouldn't have probably got the time to listen to. So I was teaching myself and improving my education while I was doing this work that I had to do, and knowing also that I'm not having to pay somebody else, so I'm getting the full amount of money for doing that work. So I thought, okay, you know, focus on those things, not on the annoyance, not on the irritation, not on the fact that I actually had to miss a couple of masterminds this week as well because of it. I went, okay, well, I'm still getting the input anyway. So that was the topic I was going to sort of lead into with that discussion, was where in your life have you had a realization of that you needed to change your perspective, and then suddenly you get a different result? Anyone got any thoughts on that one?
Go ahead.
Maybe.
No, you go first. Go ahead.
Well, it was interesting how it was even like a subconscious thing. It was definitely a subconscious thing that I don't know if I've already mentioned this in one that we were in, Tony, before, but so I was having a practice session with one of the other coaches that I went through the training with, and we were working on something that I feel like people don't show up to things that I hold, whether it be Zoom calls or classes or whatever. I feel like people don't show up. And when they don't show up, I'm actually a bit relieved. So am I sending out the message that please don't come because I'd rather not? And consciously I'm saying, please come, but subconsciously I'm saying no. So we're going through the process. And I'm feeling a shift, but in the meantime, because someone knocks on the door, so someone's showing up in the middle of the process, and it didn't really click with me that that we're making a shift right there, and it's instant. And it was my previous landlord with a bottle of wine and a huge box of chocolates, just to say thank you for what I actually found him the new tenant. So. Yeah. That was an instant shift.
So the universe was rewarding you for doing the work on yourself?
Yeah.
So what was it about the holding the events and people not showing up that made you feel relieved?
It meant that I had time to do other things, I guess. I didn't have to present. Not that I'm scared of presenting anymore, but I guess it's still a little bit uncomfortable. And I think it's always going to be. It's fear of success.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
because then life will change. And I have to change.
yep.
Yep.
Okay. You just said that it's uncomfortable
Mm-hmm.
and it's always going to be.
Yes.
Why are you setting yourself up for discomfort?
Oh, well, if I'm comfortable presenting, then I'm probably not bringing enough energy to it. If I'm complacent about it.
Ah, okay. So there's a distinction.
It's not uncomfortable as in painful or fearful. It's just, it is stepping out of the comfort zone, because if we're comfortable, then we're not moving forward.
Right.
Yeah.
A good tip I heard, and I can't think where it was now that I heard it. Like Stan, I have all these different things going on, books and audios and videos and everything else. And it was about presenting, and it was saying that if you feel nervous or, you know, uncomfortable or nervous or kind of apprehensive, change that to excitement.
Oh, yes, I remember.
And I'm feeling that is I'm actually excited because I'm going to do a great presentation. And so because I think it was Simon Sinek actually, because the bodily reaction, and you talked about being in your body, Carly particularly, the bodily reaction when you're going to be excited is pretty much the same as when you're nervous or apprehensive. It's, you know, it's the adrenaline going, and it's that kind of, oh, I'm going to have to do something now. So what if you just say, there it is, there's the feeling, that is excitement, that proves I'm on the right track here. And that's a subtle shift, but by making that shift, it changes the filter, and it changes your perspective on it. But I also take the point that if people don't show up, then you can go, oh, well, I can get on with something else that I plan to do. So it's not the end of the world. So that's picking yourself back up and going, well, obviously those people had something else going on with them and they didn't show. So it frees me to get on with this instead. So that's just about changing, not being disappointed, but letting go of any kind of blame or, you know, resentment or anything like that might come with that. Oh, those buggers didn't turn up again, you know, or whatever, you know. It's just going, that's fine. And actually that was something I was taught way back, just using those words, that's fine. Whatever happens, that's fine. It's a very, very cool couple of words to use, actually.
I think I'm going to take a little bit from what you've said and a little bit of what Carly expresses a lot of the time, is that it's the energy. So if I'm preparing, like even when I'm doing the promotion, that's when I get excited and I'm sending out that energy even within the posting of like invitations. That's my takeaway.
Okay. Yeah, no worries, Vicky. Thank you so much for your input today. So, V, what about the success thing? What happens if they do show and you do a presentation and it's successful?
Yeah. Because the process got interrupted as well, I didn't really get a definite kind of shift on that. So it's something I'll have to still work on.
So when you're planning this event, do you imagine people coming to the event and you delivering your performance?
Yes.
Do you see a room full of people impressed or applauding you, or you know,
Yeah.
engaging?
Yeah, I generally do sit in that. But where maybe I'm just not owning it. I'm envisioning it, but I'm not owning it.
Well, it's something to go, like, we haven't got time to cover it fully in here today, but something to go away and work on, is because it's that self-sabotage thing of where we can, yes, you've nailed it there. You can envision it, but not really feel it. You know,
It's like vision boards don't work for me either.
have you, when you've done all the coaching work, have you found whether you're visual, audio, kinesthetic?
Kinesthetic, and then audio, then visual.
So you need to feel it. Very much so.
Yeah.
So talking about envisioning it, you need some tools to help you feel it in your body as well. So actually, yeah, that's interesting. Carly, did you have anything on that one?
Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's about, for me, feeling it, and then it takes deep, deep trust. Yeah. It's the trust. It takes deep, deep trust, and the only way to create that deep, deep trust is every time you do take a step, you remind your inner emotional self that she did a great job, no matter the step. Even if you didn't have anyone turn up, you still turned up. Even if your energy's not on board, you still turned up. Like every little step.
Like that.
Until you make a relationship of trust where she feels safe to have the vibration that everyone will show up.
Yeah. And the word that came up for me when you said trust is they have to let go of control.
Well, you got your money's worth this morning then.
Yeah, so it is.
Very good. So you're trying to control the outcome.
Yeah.
But you don't trust that you can deliver the outcome.
Yes.
Well, what if it's not actually, it's not your fault if they choose not to show? And
it's a bit what Carly says as well about in the head, about like the control is definitely in the head. Yeah.
So I mean, as I said, we're short on time. I'm happy to continue and talk but if anyone needs to go, we are sort of at time. So if you need to go, please just go. But just to sort of tie up on that one, when you're planning your event, if you can work on maybe doing a bit of a like a meditation or at least a projection, a quiet moment, it's just sitting and reflecting and imagining yourself achieving this, having the room full of people, however many people you expect to be there, doing a presentation, focus on what that feels like. So not just seeing it, but including all your other senses.
Yeah, I've got some processes that I can use on myself on that. So yeah, I will sit down and guide myself through them.
Yeah.
And I've got a bit more clarity about it. That's awesome. Thank you.
Well, like I said, we are at time, so I didn't want to take up any more of your day. I'm sure everyone's got things to do on it. But I hope that was helpful. That was a great way to end the call, because I know that's something I've felt at times in the past as well. I'm pretty sure that Stan's probably experienced something along those lines too, or is going to at some stage, where you sort of have an idea about how it's going to go. And then, did you want to add anything on that, Stan, at all?
Not that I can think of off the top of my head. But one thing I did pick up, V, is you keep saying vision boards don't work. Do you make your own?
Yes.
So, because you're kinesthetic.
Hey?
That would work for you. Making your own works for you because you're kinesthetic.
It doesn't. It doesn't, because the pictures aren't me. Like, I'm getting pictures from magazines and stuff, but they're not my pictures. I'm better off drawing than actually using pictures from other people.
So you're going to start doing that then?
I have,
So
yeah,
put your own pictures in there.
yeah.
And if nothing else, Photoshop works really good.
Yeah, that's true. You could put yourself in the picture. If you have a picture. Very good, Stan. Well done. Yeah, so I think that if you know that you're a kinesthetic person, then you focus on the feeling aspect of it. And like,
yeah, some of these processes that we do are, well, in fact, all of them, because it's getting into the subconscious. It is actually using as many senses as possible, being smell, sound, feeling, as well as visual. Yeah.
Do you, when you do the activities, do you see pictures or do you get feelings?
I still see images, but they're more powerful if I've got other senses involved in them. Yeah.
No, I just know a couple of guys, and they were like, "Well, I don't see anything." So when I do like a lot of the NLP stuff is visual stuff, but they don't see anything, but they definitely feel stuff. Or when they listen, they actually hear. So they hear audio digital, they hear internal stuff. But because they're focused on trying to get a picture, that didn't work for them until you go, or just focus on the feeling or the inner voice or whatever, because it was like, and they were like, oh, I switched my whole brain across because they were busy focused on the picture.
Smell is awesome because it actually accesses memories without having to go through the conscious process. So if you can enlist your sense of smell.
If we had time, I'd certainly go deeper on that, but I will ask you this one quick question: is what lies beneath the you talked about beneath trust was feeling that you weren't in self-control, you were letting go of control. What's beneath that?
Oh, well, I've had to be in control for a very, very, very long time, so that's yeah.
But what happens if you're out of control? If the circumstances or the situation is out of your control?
That's scary.
But why would it be scary?
Yeah, because I don't trust.
And Vicky said it at the beginning, because she said sometimes you need to be uncomfortable being, or comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yes.
Yes. I won't.
And now we get our coach's hat on. So.
Yeah, I know. We and if we had the time, we could go a lot deeper on that. And I would get you to come up with the underlying thing. But I'll leave you just with this thought, and that is, it was a similar discussion went on between Brene Brown, very experienced, successful author. He's a psychologist and done a lot of work on a researcher on guilt, shame, and all those sorts of things. And so she was talking with Oprah Winfrey, and what she was saying, what comes when you drill down further and you keep drilling, what for most of us the underlying thing is, at some level, is I don't feel good enough, or I don't feel worthy enough of that. So, you know, and you go back to your childhood and some of those sort of questions like, who do you think you are to think you can do that, or getting too big for your boots, or all those sort of statements that get thrown around randomly. And underneath it all, there is that sense of, or the question mark that lingers with us is, am I good enough to pull this off? Am I actually, you know, worthy of this? Or have I really got the skills to make this happen? And so, yes, trust is the key word there, because the more you can learn to trust in yourself and in your own ability, the more you combat that underlying attack from the ego of who do you think you are, and are you really good enough to do this? And we all get that imposter syndrome, you know, that you think, oh, should I really, what if they find out that I'm actually just winging it? I don't really know what the hell I'm doing here, you know, because we all have that feeling at times. And it is a real feeling, but it is the ego trying to keep you safe and not put you out there into the limelight where you are vulnerable. So the willingness to be vulnerable and the willingness to risk failing or risk not being as good as you know you could be. So to step outside of your own ability to control the outcome and be outside your comfort zone, that's where the growth occurs. That's where the magic occurs. And the more we push ourselves beyond that safety net, then the more we actually extend our boundaries, the more we realize we can do and that we are capable of doing. And, you know, it's quite funny. I was on a call yesterday, just to give you this little bit of feedback. I was on a call with Russ, and he gave me this compliment where he goes, you know, you all, out of all the people I see on these mastermind calls, you really seem to have it all together. And, you know, I'm like, I'm glad I give that impression because there's times I think, what the hell am I doing? So nobody's immune from that, you know. And I'm sure even Mark probably sits there on his call sometimes and goes, what if they ask me a question I don't know the answer to? Or something? You know, it's, we all experience it. It's just the human condition. But so the more we build trust in ourselves over time through pushing ourselves beyond those boundaries and doing that little bit more than we thought we could do. And then suddenly we can see further, or in your case, we can feel further beyond what we thought previously we could do.
Are you doing any EFT, Veronica?
I have done. Yeah, I'm trying to think whether I got much out of it, but
Because that's a good feeling one, because you access
Yeah.
feelings, and it's kinesthetic because you're tapping.
yeah.
Because I found that was quite good, and you can just access the you can get the tapping solution. So you can actually access it as a free app or pay for the, you know, hundreds of things on the library. And I remember them doing a I'm Not Enough challenge, and it was literally the same, the free I'm Not Enough tapping meditation for 8 days. And it was just like, wow, that is a really cool way of doing it. They did have, you know, try to sell you into the next advanced package, but you're just going, whole communities were all tapping on the one thing and just going, everyone had access to it.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's, because that'll be one of the other things that I sometimes find, doing the meditation, like where you're guiding yourself, sometimes means you don't access where you want someone else to guide it.
Yeah.
Where you can access it and stuff, which is why you like to do yoga and that sort of stuff, because that's all kinesthetic feeling stuff.
Lots of food for thought there. And
Right.
I'm an onion. We just peeled off another layer. So
Yeah, well, I actually just want to acknowledge you for that, V, because I've seen the growth in you. I felt the growth in you from when you started this journey with Noble Goldman, particularly, and seeing in your posts and your level of confidence, you know, even in the fact that you've moved into premises that suit you better now. It's like you've had a whole change going on, and even just seeing you there now in your background behind you, and you know the way you're made up and everything, you're projecting a whole different confident image that you've really grown. So well done for that.
Thanks.
Keep up the good work. Okay, guys, well, that's time up, I think, for today, and thank you so much, and hopefully we can all catch up next week.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Yeah.